Welcome back, adventurers. So today, for our Day Zero builds, we have Caleb Widogast, Fiery Transmuter. Now this guy is going to cause quite the stir because he is seeking to burn your rival down as fast as humanly possible. And I think we can do that. So he is a 6 hand size 29 health character with Chaos, Fire, and Void with the Mage and Mighty Nein traits. He is also one of the Chrome rares that you can find in the set, one of 100 copies of a Chrome rare Caleb Widogast signed by his voice actor can be found in this set, along with, I believe, 5 other Chrome rares, each one a different character, each signed by their voice actor, which is pretty awesome. So what does Caleb want to do? Well, being a mage, he wants to do things with action cards, very much like Allura. So we have enhance once per turn, discard 1 spell card, add 1 spell card with a same difficulty as the discarded card from your discard pile to your hand. You can swap out attacks, you can swap out foundations, actions. It all just depends on the difficulty, the printed difficulty of the card that you discarded. And then response, after you play an action card, your rival loses 1 health. If you play this ability 3 or more times during this turn, seal this character. So he wants to play as many action cards in his turn as possible, but you also are only a 6-hander, so you do want to be able to, attack your rival as well. But that response can also be used when you block using an action card. So that's pretty good. You can use it defensively there, or if you play an enhance on an action on your rival's turn or a response or what have you. So let's get into the attack package. You want to run mainly a spell-based package so that you can pick and choose which spell to take from your discard pile based on what you have in your hand, depending on what you need. So first off, we have Frozen Spray. This is a 5 difficulty, 3 control, 5 mid for 5 with a 2 low block, stun 1, ranged, and spell. All of my attacks here will have spell. It has Blitz, freeze 1 foundation in each stage, but if your character is a mage, which we are, freeze 1 foundation in each rival stage instead. So since we are a mage, we only freeze one of our rivals' cards, not one of our foundations, so that's pretty good. And it's a 5 difficulty, which we'll see another 5 difficulty that we'll probably want to pick up by discarding this later. We have Spellstorm. This is a secret rare card from Heroes of Exandria, and it's a very powerful one at that. It's a 4/2 with a 5 high for 3 and a 1 high block. Mage EX2, so since we are a mage, we have access to that EX2 ability. Powerful 3 and spell. As a static, it says, we may flip spell cards in our card pool as though we were spending momentum to pay for this card's keyword abilities. So how that works is, let's say we have 2 momentum and 2 other spell cards in our card pool. We could spend 2 momentum for the powerful, and then we can flip 2 spells in our card pool to pay for the EX cost. So we get to use all sorts of resources to fuel this card's very powerful stat boosting abilities, and as a response, after this attack deals damage, we get to draw a card. Pretty cool. This is a really solid string ender. You end your string with this, you flip all the cards in your card pool, you spend all your momentum, and you just hit your rival with a giant bomb. So, really cool attack here. And I bet this is going to look so sick hollow. Next we have Widowgast's Web of Fire, a 4 difficulty, 3 control, 4 high for 3 with a 1 high block, powerful 3 and spell. As a Mage Blitz, which means we can only play this Blitz if we are a mage, which we are, each rival loses 2 health, and each rival backup loses 2 stamina. This can reduce your rival to 0. Which I hate, but it can. And it has the same cost as Spellstorm. So if our rival has a bunch of cards in their hand and we know they're going to block everything, but maybe they only have 2 health left, we can discard a Spellstorm as our enhance to pick up Widowgast's Web of Fire, play that as our next card, and then as the Blitz, we can just burn them down. And Remember how I said we'd want to discard Frozen Spray to pick up a different 5-diff spell? We have Big Freaking Explosion, which is a very hilarious card from the Jester and Not the Brave Challenger series. This is a 5/3, 5 high for 5 with a 2 high block. It's got ally, ranged, spell, and tech. A lot of keywords there. It has enhance, spend 1 momentum, mill 3. So you discard the top 3 cards of your deck. This attack gets +1 damage for each attack in your discard pile. But if you mill 3 attacks this way, you lose health equal to half of this attack's damage rounded down after it resolves. So if it reduces your rival to 0, you don't have to worry about that. But not only does this mill 3 to hopefully get us some new cards to transmute, but it can get really, really big really fast. This is another good string ender if maybe we are feeling a bit more frisky and we don't have a spell storm. Big freaking explosion coming at a 5 high 5, maybe put some speed on it and get a good mill of maybe like 2 attacks and you have like 7 attacks in your discard pile. That's a 5 high for 12. That's ridiculous. 5 high for 12 at the end of a string, put a little speed on it, it's insane. Or another good use for momentum is duplicitous attack. Kind of. This is a 4 difficulty, 3 control, 4 low for 4 with a 1 mid block. It is a ally, spell, and it combos with a spell, which means to use this card's combo enhance, the card immediately before it in your card pool has to have the spell trait. And that could be an attack, it could be an action, it could be a foundation, anything that has the spell trait. And the combo enhance says your next attack gains echo. And as you can see, echo is a response that says spend 1 momentum. After this attack resolves, you may try to play it as your next form from your card pool. If you do, flip it after it resolves. So, can you imagine you've got 3 momentum, you play a spell like a Widowgast Web of Fire, you pick up, you pitch Frozen Spray to pick up Big Freaking Explosion. You play duplicitous attack. Give your next attack echo. Play Big Friction Explosion on a 7. Spend a momentum, mill 3. Hopefully deal a bunch of damage. Spend a momentum to echo it. Spend another momentum. That's possibly 3 extra attacks in your discard pile. Mill 3 again. Finish with a big bang. Really cool thing there. I don't know how much that's going to come in handy, but it's fun. Next we have Targeting Blast, a 4/3, 5 mid for 4 with a 2 low block, ally, powerful 2, ranged, and spell. As a response, after this attack deals damage, our next attack gets +2 speed. That's really good for something like a Spell Storm, or a Big Frickin' Explosion. So, just a really good flow piece. It's got good speed stat for a 4 diff, it's a 5 mid 4. Maybe your rival doesn't want to spend a bunch of resources to block 4 damage, and then your next attack just gets 2 speed. Next up we have Spirit Unicorns, a 5/3, 4 mid for 5 with a 2 low block, EX3, ally, and spell. As a blitz, if we get to mill 2 cards, if this is our first attack this turn, this card does not count towards progressive difficulty to play spell cards this turn. That's pretty cool. We open up with this, and then for the rest of the turn, every spell that we play, this card does not count towards progressive difficulty. And this says spell cards, not necessarily spell attacks. So if we have a spell action card or a spell foundation, this still won't count towards progressive difficulty. And then response card pool, after we ready 1 or more foundations, our next attack gets +1 damage. We're not going to worry about that. That's more of a Jester thing. As you can see, it's her attack. But just the ability to start a string and not worry about progressive difficulty for your entire attack package is a pretty solid reason to throw at least 2 of these in here. And lastly, Crotch Lightning. This is a 5/3, 3 low for 5 with a 2 high block in the spell keyword. It says Blitz, if you have an action or spell in your card pool, this attack gains stun 2. I have seen that this is being eroded to say another action or spell card. So, it doesn't fulfill itself anymore. which obviously that would be ridiculous. Why not just give it the stun 2? But say you start with Spirit Unicorns, then you play Crotch Lightning on a 5. It's just a 3 low 5 with stun 2 after you've had Spirit Unicorns 4 mid 5, and then that could open your rival up to one of these bigger finishing moves later on. Onto assets, we have Spire of Conflux, a 2/5 with a 2 low block. It's an asset card. Unique Vestige and Weapon. As a static, while this card is ready in our stage, our spell attacks get +1 damage. And if our character is a mage or a warden, our rival effects cannot flip our spell attacks or cause them to leave our card pool, which means cards like Cape of No Return here would not be able to remove our attacks from our card pool. So really, really powerful, and it's a very good defensive asset. Enhance remove this attacks from the game. It's a 3/4, 3 high block. So Spire of Conflux, giving a little bit of damage to all of our attacks, and then as a response, we commit 1 foundation. After our spell card deals damage, we get to draw a card. But if that's the second time that we play this ability, we have to commit this card. So we could draw up to 2 extra cards a turn by committing foundations, which, like I said, when we have cards like Spirit Unicorn not counting towards our progressive difficulty, it allows us a little bit of breathing room there. And on to the main thing that our Fiery Transmuter wants to play with, action cards. We start with Magic Boost. Obviously, it's a 1/5, 1 low block spell card, and it just says Enhance. This attack gets +2 speed and +2 damage. It's just a very good common action. We have Wound Restore, a 3/4 with a 3 mid block, and the spell keyword, another spell. As a first enhance, so the first enhance we would want to play during any given enhance step, we remove this card to gain 5 health. That's huge, especially when we can burn our rival for 1 at the same time. Or, as an enhance, we can remove this card. If our attack deals damage, our rival loses 4 health. So if they have run out of cards in their hand, or they're all committed out and you don't think they're going to block something, you could just tack an extra 4 damage on, plus the 1 damage burn from Caleb Widogast. Next we have Infiltrating Zorhas, I hope. This is another 1/5 with a 2 mid block and the spell keyword. As an enhance, we get to seal 1 non-character card in each rival stage, and we may clear this card from our card pool. So we can clear it, and then maybe discard another 1 difficulty spell to pick it up and do it again. Like maybe a magic boost, if we wanted to. Or if we have a 1 difficulty spell foundation, so that we can keep sealing cards and keep burning our rival for 1, making them to lose 1 health. So very, very powerful ability there. And to seal a card means that card loses all of its abilities and cannot gain abilities. And lastly, what's a Fiery Transmuter without a little cremation? This is a 1/5 with a 2 high block. As an enhance, we get to lose 1 health. This attack gets +3 speed. That's a lot of speed. And then, of course, our rival will lose 1 health because we're Caleb. And if our character was Dobby, they would also lose a health, but we're not Dobby, we're Caleb. We're Dobby without all the burn scars. And then as a response, we can lose 2 health. After our rival plays their 3rd non-attack card this combat phase, we get to add the top card of our deck to our momentum. And then, of course, burn our rival for 1. So if our rival's going first, and we have one of these in our hand, they play out at least 3 foundations, we start the game with a momentum, and we've burned our rival for 1. Right off the bat on our turn 0, which is pretty fun. Onto our foundations, we have Inspiring Song, talking about 1 difficulty spells. This is a 1/6 with a 3 mid block and the spell keyword. As an enhance, we can flip this and mill 3 cards. Choose any player. That player's next check gets +1 or -1. So we can give ourselves a check boost, or we can give our rival negative to their check. We can hack their check by 1. So really good offensively and defensively. And excuse me, we can discard it to pick up Magic Boost or Infiltrating Zorhas, which is really, really good. We have Magic Trap, a 2/5 with a 2 high block, the spell keyword again. Response once per turn. After we play an action card, our rival's next check to play a card gets -1. So we can use this in conjunction with Inspiring Song to just further make it more difficult for our rival to play their cards. Or with Inspiring Song, of course, we can help boost our own checks to defend or attack. We have Treasure Hunting, a 1/5 with a 3 high block. As a form, we get to flip this card to draw 1 card. And we have to discard a card unless our rival has at least 15 cards in their discard pile. It's easy, it's either a cycle draw or it's a straight up draw, which is really good. Speaking of draw, Horrifying Realization, another form speed draw card. A 1/5 with a 2 mid block. Form flip, each player discards 1 card and draws 1 card. If your rival discarded a foundation this way, they have to commit 1 foundation. So more form speed cycle draw, trying to sculpt our hand to make sure we get the cards we want, and maybe our rival has to commit a foundation in the interim. We have Hostile Introduction. Hey, I didn't notice that that's Caleb right there. This is a 1/5 with a 3 mid block. It has the Mighty Nein Breaker 2 ability, which means since we are of the Mighty Nein, that when we block with this card, we can give our rival's next check -2. Which is really strong defensive ability. But also as a static, after this card enters our discard pile during the enhanced step, our rival loses 1 health. Thankfully, this cannot reduce our rival below 0, or below 1. That's what all burn should say. However, you might be thinking, how do we get this into our discard pile during the enhanced step? Well, milling from Inspiring Song, milling from Big Frickin' Explosion. It's just, our mill is a really good way to force this to be sent to the discard pile. We also have some foundations that can destroy our foundations, so that can also be used to trigger that ability. We have Mischievous Doodler. Don't look in the reflection, kids. A 2/5 with a 2 low block. Enhance commit 1 foundation. Our spell attack gains stun 1. If it is blocked, we mill 1. So we can give all of our spells stun by committing our foundations, which is really cool. And we can fuel our Big Frickin' Explosions or Caleb's transmutation powers by if our rival is blocking our attacks. We have some more draw here, Fearsome Transformations, a 1/5 with a 3 high block. Enhance flip, draw 1 card, but if we have no momentum, we must discard 1 card. Simple, it's just more draw. We're trying to see as many attacks and actions as we can in a given turn. We have Incredible Display, a 2/5 with a 3 mid block. Response commit, spend 1 momentum. After our rival plays a non-character response ability, we get to cancel it. That's awesome. Especially huge if our rival's trying to use cards like Runaway to interrupt our turn. Or response commit, after we block with a foundation, we get to add it back to our hand. Really good defensive abilities there. We have Nejire-chan of the Big 3, a 1/5 with a 2 high block. Enhance, we sacrifice 1 foundation, like maybe a Hostile Introduction. This attack gets +1 damage, and if it's blocked, we get to gain a health. Simple and cool. Next we have Magic Alarm, a 2/5 with a 3 low block and the spell keyword. So we can discard this with Caleb to maybe pick up a Magic Trap. And it says response flip. After the combat phase begins, your rival's first attack this turn gets -4 speed. So their first attack is gonna get blocked. It's really strong. That way you don't have to spend as many resources to block the first attack, so that you have those to continue defending yourself for the rest of the turn. And lastly, Holstered Spellbook. This is a 1/4 with a 3 mid block. Enhance, this spell gets +1 spell attack gets +1 damage for each copy of Holstered Spellbook in your stage, and flip this card. So if you have 3 Holstered Spellbooks, your attack will get 3 damage, and then this card flips. And then if you use another one, it'll get 2 damage, and then that one will flip. So it's kind of just a big quick burst. I mainly put it in here because I needed a few more foundations, and I figured a little bit more damage pump couldn't hurt. But that is Caleb Widogast, Fiery Transmuter. What do you guys think? Do you think this Pyromancer has what it takes to burn the rest of the field down? Or do you think he's just gonna be a flash in the pan and simmer into ash? If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I could use all the support I could get. I am doing day 0 builds to show off what each of these characters in Critical Role wants to do in kind of the most basic ways, which is actually being kind of tricky as some of these go on because I have big expensive versions in my head and I'm like, well, that's not very learner friendly, so we're just going over the basics here. But with that said, safe travels.